Oh yeah, can you hear? Yeah? It's all good? I'm the model. Cool. Okay. So, right. Right, right.
Still got that Mickey four-wheel drive thing, that black one? Gravel. Oh yeah, gravel, sorry. Good. Yeah, yeah. Did you go out and see the clean water up the road? What were we up there for when I was looking at Hamilton? Oh yeah, that's right. Teaching you get your card in, I was thinking, oh shit, the card in?
Test though.
Can I just check who's the last dragon? So I have everyone? CFX?
Yeah.
TVs?
Yeah.
R&D?
And here,
Okay, and you're starting at now?
yeah.
Anyone live now?
Yeah, I am. Audio's down.
Not sure. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming in. A couple of faces, it's becoming a bit of a regular event. Just so we know, one of Andrew Flexman here, Chief Executive of the Chiefs, and Dave Rennie, obviously, Coach of the Chiefs, and Rob Nichols also with us to present a player's view if necessary around some questioning. So, as you know, New Zealand Rugby has undertaken an investigation into the Chiefs' post-season celebrations in 2016 and 2015. This followed some very serious and alarming claims that were made through the media about the players' behaviour at these events. Today we are sharing the outcome of that investigation with the findings and recommendations from that work outlined in the media release. This investigation was conducted by our General Counsel here at New Zealand Rugby. He's a very experienced legal practitioner in employment law, whose work on this has been very thorough, and we are satisfied that the conclusions reached are valid and realistic. We want to thank him for that work, and we want to thank all the witnesses who were interviewed as part of this process, many of whom specifically requested they not be publicly identified. We've taken some confidence in the conclusions from the clear and unbiased account of the independent witnesses, and also of those players interviewed, some of whom had been drinking and some of whom who had not. Our investigation has found that the allegations made publicly are not substantiated by those witnesses' accounts, and as such we will not take action against any individual players. But we are far from satisfied that as a collective our players are blameless. They found themselves in this position as a direct result of their decision to engage a form of entertainment that is entirely inappropriate for a professional rugby team. As a result, we have today issued the Chiefs players with a formal caution that will sit on their record. This leaves a black mark on rugby and on the Chiefs in particular. We are deeply embarrassed to be dealing with this matter, and we have made our views very clear to the Chiefs and to the players. It's important to note that from the outset our investigation was not about the woman at the centre of these claims. Our focus quite rightly was on the conduct and choices of our players and the management structures we had in behind them. We will now work with the Chiefs and the Players Association to determine how they can best rebuild the public's confidence in them, and we are sharing the learnings with our other teams. As for post-season celebrations, we will be issuing strong warnings to other teams that they have responsibilities in how they conduct themselves. Now, I know you'll want to have some time to go through the statement that we're handing out, but I'll hand over to Andrew and then to Dave, who want to say a few words, and as I said before, Rob is here if anyone wants to speak to him on behalf of the players. Thanks. Andrew.
Thank you, Steve. We accept the findings and recommendations of the New Zealand Rugby-led investigation, which has found that the allegations of sexual impropriety are unsubstantiated. However, these events have brought some really serious matters to our attention, which certainly need addressing. We need to deal with the fact that our players were in this position in the first place, and that nobody stepped in to stop the performances. We also recognise that the celebrations did not have an appropriate level of management oversight or supervision. And there's no doubt that these issues have put our organisation in a vulnerable position, and we are sorry to the people that we've let down as a consequence. In terms of the players involved, they have collectively accepted responsibility for their poor decision making and have apologised to our supporters, sponsors, their work colleagues, and are really committed to help restoring confidence in our club. Now that the investigation has been concluded and the facts established, we need to work really, really hard on restoring lost ground and returning our club to the heights it has enjoyed in recent times. This will involve working alongside New Zealand Rugby and the Rugby Players Association on the implementation of guidelines right across our game to ensure we do not get a repeat of these incidents, and that work is already underway. Internally, we will commit to ensuring that these functions are much more aligned with our organisational values and we plan to work through a series of plans with management, our players and our sponsors to reinforce this. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. I know Dave would like to offer a coach's perspective on this as well, and then we'll take some questions.
Yeah, afternoon all. Look, as a club, we've worked really hard to build a strong culture, and this group of men will be the best that I've ever worked with. Their willingness to connect with the community and charity organisations is something we're really proud of. There were poor decisions made post-season, and we accept responsibilities for that and have to put in processes to ensure this doesn't happen again. Based on the work we've done in our community, we hope it doesn't define us. We look forward to getting the squad back together in November to continue that good work.
Okay, happy to take some questions. Have you had a chance to digest the statements?
Could you just confirm for us, please, who's been cautioned here?
All the players who are on the Chiefs books for 2016.
So that suggests there's no one player or smaller group of players that were more culpable in any way than the other group of players?
No, so the witness accounts and all of our investigation would suggest that no individual player has acted in a way that we could take individual action, and the players have accepted a collective responsibility for deciding to engage this form of entertainment, and as Andrew has pointed out, not stopping it once it started.
Andrew, what sort of response have you had from your community?
Oh look, first and foremost, we've had a hell of a lot of support from our community, but we've also had some feedback which one would expect to get off the back of allegations of these nature. So look, we are really, really committed as an organisation where we have damaged some of that community standing that we did have to make sure that we restore and get ourselves back to the position that we think we should be.
And any word from sponsors?
Look, we've had across the board some amazing support from our group of sponsors, which we're really thankful for. We realise though the situation has put some of them in a really compromised and difficult position, so we're going to work incredibly hard alongside them to restore public confidence in the Chiefs.
So have any of them though said that they no longer wish to continue that association?
Yeah, look, to date we've had 2 sponsors that have indicated that they no longer wish to continue their association with the Chiefs. We've acknowledged their support and we respect the decision that they've made.
So that's my food bag and who?
Oh, look, I'm not prepared to comment on who they are. I think it's appropriate that they lead the communications around those issues.
So these witnesses, did they see the entire evening? Are you confident that the witnesses saw everything and didn't see anything?
Yeah, there are 9 independent witnesses interviewed around the 2016 event, as well as a number of players, senior players, who were effectively sober-minders, and nobody can corroborate the allegations that were made.
So she's lied.
All I can tell you is what our General Counsel found out, and nobody can confirm the allegations. I'm not prepared to place a judgment on anybody involved in this. I don't think there are any winners or losers in doing so.
So you say you're far from satisfied. What exactly does that relate to?
Well, we're far from satisfied that a group of our professional players would engage this type of entertainment. We're far from satisfied that they then allow that entertainment to take place in effectively a public space, and we're far from satisfied that we had enough structures in place ourselves to stop this happening in advance of it occurring. And so we've got work to do as well.
So you're sorry for hiring the stripper, but not necessarily for what may have happened because it can't be substantiated?
Well, the allegations that were made were very serious. It's worth noting the police have taken no further action, and certainly we cannot collaborate any of the allegations that were made other than the performance took place, which as far as we're concerned is enough to caution all these players, which is quite a serious move.
So what do you think did happen?
Well, I'm not going to second guess what happened. I've had my very senior general counsel in this organisation interview over 15 people, 9 of whom are independent, and he's not been able to confirm any of the allegations. The routine took place. The woman was paid to dance, she danced.
If the allegations were found to be unsubstantiated, why are they being cautioned? Why do they have to apologise to the woman?
They're being cautioned because they have made a poor decision in hiring this form of entertainment as a group of players that could be recognised as the Chiefs. That's why they're being cautioned.
Were you at the function yourself?
No, and I wasn't invited.
So it was players only. And what about the part
No, none of the partners were there. Just I think about 24 players.
And Andrew, what about your personal, the way you've dealt with this whole situation since it's come up? What learnings have you had from this, and are you comfortable with how you did that?
Oh, look, there've been many learnings, to be perfectly honest with you. I guess I made some comments early on the piece that I regretted. I apologise for that, and I own that apology. I stand by that apology. This has been an incredibly difficult exercise for everyone associated with this investigation. For me personally, for our club, huge learnings. And what will define us is how we take on board those learnings and improve.
Did you ever consider perhaps stepping down?
Look, I haven't given that due consideration yet because my full focus has been on this investigation. The reality is that's a matter for me to discuss at a future point with my board, and I'm sure that those discussions will take place.
Did the investigation clarify whether the players had paid extra to her to allow touching?
No, look, I'm not in a position to go into any of the detail that our General Counsel went through. There was a dispute over payment. Why that dispute occurred is not completely clear.
But you can't say whether they paid her extra to allow touching. Surely you can rule that out.
Well, as I say, this particular form of entertainment is inappropriate. The detail of which, I think, for the benefit of for the person involved, is best left out of the conversation as well.
Steve, looking at this statement here, doesn't seem to suggest that Mad Mondays are going to be stopped from here on in. Will they be?
Well, I think the reality is we have a group of young men who work very hard together for a long period of time, and whether we ban what has colloquially become known as Mad Monday or not, they are likely to get together and celebrate that campaign, whether we say you can or you can't. So I think what we're better to do is to make sure we've got better structures and some better policies around those gatherings. And as Andrew's pointed out, it would be in the Chiefs' case, it would be much better if it reflected the very strong family and community values that the Chiefs have lived by. And so we're not, to answer your question, frankly, no, we won't ban these type of gatherings, but we will certainly make sure that they are in a very controlled and organised manner.
So in your view, what's an appropriate Mad Monday?
Well, there's no such thing as an appropriate Mad Monday. That's your term, not mine. What I think is inappropriate is for a group of young men and women, because there are a lot of females involved in these team organisations, to get together and celebrate what they've achieved in the course of a long campaign. That should involve a few drinks, it should involve some food, it should involve the families being around, but that will depend on the team and their own values. But as I say, if we drive it underground, we're likely to get worse behaviour.
How many times have the Chiefs hired strippers over the season?
Well, to the best of our knowledge, twice.
Over the 2016 season?
No, sorry, once in 15 and once in 16.
Okay, just the end of season.
Yeah.
The woman in question, Scarlett, says she's very disappointed with this outcome. What do you make of that?
Well, you'd have to talk to her.
Did anyone else in the group behave inappropriately? Not the players, but maybe acquaintances?
No, we found absolutely no evidence to substantiate the allegations that were made.
Did the investigation include claims by the second woman who came forward?
Yep, so we did interview some people who were associated with the event in 2015, and again, cannot substantiate any of the claims that were made.
Dave, so many senior players in the squad. There's not just young 20-year-old men. How does that disappoint you as a coach, knowing the background of their club?
I'm incredibly disappointed in what's happened. It's I guess there's been a bit of talk around how as management, how do we not know what was going on, and we certainly knew they were going out the back of Matamata to a little country pub, secluded and so on, and as it turned out it wasn't as secluded as we thought, and perhaps in some ways it's been of benefit because then there's been independent witnesses who have testified, but we're certainly disappointed with what's come of it, and there'll be changes made.
Does this change the standing of any of those players in your eyes as a coach?
Oh, look, as I've mentioned, they're fantastic guys. They've done magnificent things, not only within our group, training-wise and leading, but certainly standing in the community. And so, it's an error in judgment. It was a poor day. There's been massive repercussions because of that.
But you're not more likely to not select someone because of what has happened here?
No, they won't come into it. Look, in the end, we'll have an opportunity to earn respect back in the community. once we come back in together.
Did any of the players offer to step down?
No, I think the best way of summing up the players' response to this is they've accepted that they made a very poor decision. They've accepted that they've now got a caution on their record. So from an employment point of view, that is actually about as far as we think we can take it, and it is a serious moment in their careers. If there's any repeat offending of any type, this letter will come out of the file and be taken into account.
So this very much is a collective punishment, if you will. No one person is being held responsible for this.
Correct.
No way of identifying any particular player.
Well, no one person has done anything more wrong than anybody else because the allegations weren't substantiated. But collectively, they chose to have this form of entertainment at their end-of-year function, and collectively they allowed it to continue to the end.
But surely the person who perhaps engaged the services of this stripper or dance, whatever you want to call it, they hold more responsibility than someone who attended?
Yeah, well, you could take that view, I guess, but we deemed that the team made the decision as a collective. They were all party to the performance. Nobody stepped in and stopped it, and therefore they are, I think, rightly all taking responsibility.
There's obviously been a name put out there of high calibre, high stature, and people will know this player, but I won't name them. Is there anything that you've done to talk to some of perhaps the senior players who may have had any kind of influence that this won't happen again?
Well, I think, as David said, that there'll be an opportunity for this particular group to get back together later this year and start to rebuild the confidence of the community, and that clearly will ensure that they don't repeat this kind of behaviour.
When we, pre-Christmas, we obviously have a Christmas function which involves family and partners and so on. That works really well. Obviously that's the sort of line we need to do post-season as well.
Steve, are you going to put any sort of ban around hiring women strippers in the future?
Well, I hope we don't have to put a ban, and I think it'll become very evident when we put out the communication, the lessons that have been learnt from this, that it's just inappropriate for professional players to be hiring entertainment of this sort.
But no one's had any discipline put on them apart from a warning. Is that really sending a strong message?
Well, as I say, we believe this caution is a very serious moment in these players' career, and they've all taken responsibility for it, including the players that weren't actually at the function.
Who were the independent witnesses? Were they Chiefs fans?
There were a number of people who were in that particular venue on the day, and they range in occupation, age, and other demographic factors from a broad group of people that were there. And credible, according to the General Counsel, who spent a considerable amount of time interviewing these people, credible, sober witnesses who gave a factual account of the day as they saw it.
Who saw the whole routine?
There were some witnesses who were in the room where the routine took place and saw the whole routine, and there were others who witnessed the behaviour of the players during the day, which is all a factor in our investigation.
So there were some players who weren't at the routine?
Yep, there are only 24 players on the trip out of 40 odd, I think. Dave, you had a few injuries, so the number got up.
Performing caution as well.
Yep, they've accepted that there's a collective responsibility here amongst the group of players as a team, which I think is to their credit, actually, if there is any credit in this particular instance.
So what effect does a caution actually have other than being something you can bring up later if anything else happens?
Well, if something else happens, it's a second offence, and therefore our powers to discipline and take appropriate action are greater.
Should an independent lawyer or whoever have done this investigation? Is it actually, are you going to get to the bottom of it if you put someone within New Zealand Rugby in charge of it?
Well, look, I can assure you that we took this matter incredibly serious. It's a very long time since rugby's faced such a difficult set of allegations. And our General Counsel is a very senior, very experienced, very determined practicer of law. Now, I have complete faith in his ability to conduct this investigation, bearing in mind the police chose not to.
They did say they took into account the warnings.
Yep, but I'm not going to second guess the police either, but we have within our powers to conduct an investigation. We had someone in the organisation that's experienced, knows the law really well, and whose sort of moral standing and judgment I completely back. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.